Folks, should you cut your losses now? I'll explain what I mean and then get into the latest home prices and insights for the city of Toronto for week ending October 15th, 2025. If you want to speak directly with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video, in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. A friend of mine who's been pretty successful calls me and says, Santo, some family members of mine have run into some financial problems. They're probably going to have to sell their home. Can you meet us at the house and talk about the whole process? So I do that. I meet them all at the house and I go through the selling process with them. The conclusion is that if they sold now, on closing, there would be a $50,000 shortfall. Meaning, in order for those sellers, the young couple, to close, they need to put in $50,000. This is money they don't have. They're selling because they've run into some financial problems. They've used up all their savings, but this is the situation they're in. I leave them with that information, and a couple of days later, my friend calls me and says, Santo, I want them to sell. I offered to give them the $50,000 to close, and he has the means to do that. He says, I offered to give them the $50,000. My advice to them is sell, take the loss, move on with your life, and sort yourselves out. The home seller's attitude is a little bit different. Their attitude is if my friend is prepared to help them with the $50,000, instead of selling, they could use that $50,000 to cover their expenses over the next 5 or 6 months. And in those 5 or 6 months, they could turn their life around. They could sort out whatever financial problems that they got themselves into. Now, my friend is worried that if that's what they do, if they don't sell, and if they don't sort out themselves in that time that they think they're going to sort themselves out, well, at the end of that, they're going to need more money. Or if they choose to sell then, the market may be different. What is going to cost $50,000 now may cost $75,000 or $100,000 later. So my friend wants them to sell now. The homeowners want to use that money to buy them time to sort things out. This is happening to people all over the city, this situation. Not necessarily that there's a family member prepared to financially help, but the fact that do we sell or do we borrow money to do that, or do we borrow money to stay where we are a bit longer to sort things out? This is the resiliency in our market right now. Many people will ask me, Santo, why haven't home prices dropped more? There's so much inventory. Sellers, or let me say homeowners, will fight tooth and nail before they sell. And if they have to sell, they definitely don't want to give their homes away. And this is the resiliency in the market. Homeowners are prepared to take a chance to stay in their home longer. So I'm going to ask you, what would you do if you were this young couple? Now, keep in mind, this is not just a math problem. Well, $50,000 now, it's obvious. You sell because that problem could be worse later. It's not as simple as that, because if you sell, you still got to live somewhere. So think about how your lifestyle changes, because that's what people think about. They think about how their lifestyle is going to change. They believe that if they had more time, they could sort things out. Some do, many don't. This is what's happening in our market today. So I ask you, what would you do? Would you sell and take the loss now and take everything else that goes along with that, just the way you're living? Or would you, I guess, say take a chance and use that money to buy yourself some more time in order to sort things out, knowing things could be way worse later if you don't sort things out. Let me know in the comments below. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. And if you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. Now, let's get into the numbers. Here we go, folks. City of Toronto. We are focused on the freehold market. Average prices for detached, semis, and towns are here, going back for 3 months. I do have condos on the board here. That's just for reference. The condo show is tomorrow. We'll talk all about condos tomorrow. But let's get started here. We're going to start with the City of Toronto only. Detached properties only for week ending October 15th. 127 detached properties were sold. When we look at sales, well, 127 is lower than what we've seen this whole fall market. So when we look at just strictly the fall market, September, we've been pretty steady in 160 or so sales a week of detached properties. This week, 127 shows a big drop. I can't say yet for sure if that's now going to be the trajectory that we're on. Normally, the fall market, we see an increase in sales over the fall market, and then at some point it turns and sales drop all the way down to the end of the year. I don't know if it started yet, maybe. If we look at properties selling at $2 million or more, well, out of the 127, 28% of those sales, which is 35, sold at $2 million or more. That amount of properties selling at $2 million or more is also declining, but at a much, it's even hard for me to say that it's declining, but it is. If I go back and just read you the numbers, 39, 38, 35, 37, 35. So yes, it's declining by 1 or 2 or 3 a week, not by a lot. Average price sitting at $1,639,000, which is kind of in line where the average price, except for 1 week, but it's basically in line to where the average price has been throughout September onward for this fall market so far. If we go back, average price for a while since spring was trending down. Then August kind of looked like average price was maybe climbing a little bit. And now average price for the fall has jumped up. A big part of that is the volume of properties selling at $2 million or more. Compared to last year, 1,639,000 is 6% higher than where the price was a year ago. The median price of 1,380,000 is 15% higher. 127 we said were sold, and that kind of, when we look at the sales, it's fewer than what we've been selling the same week a year ago. But if we look at year to date, last year, January 1st to October 15th, 6,111 detached properties were sold. This year, 5,916. So this year, so far, we've sold 195 fewer detached properties. That's 3.2% fewer properties this year. Doesn't sound like that much, right? When you kind of talk about real estate and you talk about sales, oh, there's fewer sales, things are so bad, some people will say out there, the volume isn't there. Well, if we're focused on the City of Toronto and only detached properties, it's less than 200 sales this year, year to date. It's only 3.2% lower. It's not that dramatic. Listings trending down. Out of all the available listings for sale for detached properties, which is 2,780, 4.6% of all listings actually sold. And when we look at properties listed at $2 million or more, out of all the listings, 2,780, 37% of all listings of detached properties in the city of Toronto are listed at $2 million or more than a third. And of those, only 35 sold for the week. 3.4% of all $2 million or more listed properties actually sold. Months of inventory jumped way up. Well, sales dropped. Active listings didn't move that much. 5.1 is the months of inventory now. That climbed quite a bit. If we break the GTA down into 9 different areas, and if we say, well, for the whole city, months of inventory for detached properties is 5.1 months of inventory, well, 2 areas are really outperforming the whole city. Hyde Park at 3.3 months of inventory, East York Riverdale Beaches 2.8 months of inventory, and the opposite is true of Willowdale, Bayview Village area, where the months of inventory there is over a year. It's 12.1 months of inventory. Here's the sales of detached properties. We're going to look at 3-bedroom detached versus 4-bedroom detached. 3 bedrooms for week ending October 15, 56 sold. Now before that, if we're looking at just the fall market, September, sales were trending up. Big drop here. 56 were sold now. 2 of those sold at $2 million or more. Average sold price, as sales were going up, average sold price looked like it was climbing a bit, but now over the last few weeks, kind of coming down. It's a bit all over the place, I got to say. Average sold price currently is $1,235,000. 1,235 is 9% lower than the same week a year ago. Here's 4 bedrooms. 44 4-bedroom properties were sold. Almost half of those, 20 of those sold at $2 million or more. Sales of 4-bedroom for the fall market since September slowly has been trending down. Average sold price is just under $2 million. It's $1,961,000. Over time, average sold price has been trending down. Compared to last year, 1,961 is 2% lower. When we look at sales, the orange, that's 3-bedroom, the blue, that's 4-bedroom, we sell far more 3-bedroom homes of detached properties than we do 4-bedroom. That's very clear. Months of inventory for 3-bedroom is 4.5. Months of inventory for 4-bedroom homes is 5.5 months of inventory. And the difference in average sold prices, $726,000. That is often the reason why somebody is not buying the 4-bedroom and they're buying the 3-bedroom instead. It's the difference in average sold price. Here's semi-detached properties. Also, for week ending October 15th, sales dropped. 39 of them were sold. 4 sold at $1.5 million or more, which is far fewer than the last few weeks. And average sold price, it's the lowest we've seen in a year. We're looking at now average sold price of $1,102,000. $1,102,000 is 12% lower than the same week a year ago. The median price of $958,000 is 20% lower than the same week a year ago. Months of inventory has climbed to 3.3 months of inventory. Here's townhouses. Now these are freehold townhouses. Also, just like detached, semis, and now towns, sales has dropped. 10 sales of freehold townhouses were sold October 15. Average sold price is also the lowest we've seen in a year. It's now at $951,000. $951,000 is 17% lower than the same week a year ago. The median price of $873,000 is 25% lower. months of inventory also climbed to 6.8 months of inventory. Here's a quick summary of months of inventory. If we do a comparison, we look at compared to a year ago, same week, 3.7 months of inventory a year ago. We're sitting at 5.1 now. That's for the whole city. Semis, 3.3, now 3.3. That's the same. Towns was 2.7 a year ago. Now we're sitting at 6.8. Pretty much you're going to experience a balanced market or bottom end of a buyer's market. Mostly a balanced market though. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.